Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I never imagined my marriage would reach a moment like that, where silence said more than any argument ever could. For years I believed in my wife. I believed that no matter how badly we clashed, she would at least try to meet me somewhere in the middle. But what happened last week shattered every belief I held about us. Even now, when I replay it in my mind, the ending still feels unreal. It all started with a trip she'd been planning for weeks. On the surface, it looked harmless. A short getaway with her friends, a chance to unwind from daily stress. But something about it gnawed at me. I can't fully explain why. Maybe it was the timing. Maybe it was the way she avoided my eyes whenever the topic came up. Or maybe it was the kind of instinct that tightens in your gut when something isn't right. I told her more than once that I wasn't comfortable with her going. Not because I wanted to control her or keep her trapped at home, but because something deep inside whispered that this wasn't good for us. We had been arguing more than usual. Small disagreements had turned into steady friction. I felt like this trip would push us even further apart. But she didn't care. She shrugged off my concerns like they were useless noise. I need this. You're overreacting, she said, her voice flat, almost practiced. Then she packed her bags right in front of me, ignoring my silence, ignoring the storm building inside my chest. Watching her roll that suitcase toward the door felt like watching a stranger leave my home, not the woman I married. That night, I sat alone in the living room, staring at the door that had closed behind her hours earlier. I thought about calling her, sending a message, trying one last time to make her understand what she was choosing to walk away from. But the more I sat there, the more something inside me hardened. Why chase someone who didn't care whether I was hurting? Why hold on when she had clearly let go? So I made a decision. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I didn't shed a single tear. I simply disappeared. I shut off my phone, cut every line of communication, and stepped out of her world completely. No updates. No explanations. Nothing. I wanted her to feel the emptiness she had left me in, where the person you rely on the most suddenly isn't there anymore. Hours slipped by. Then the whole night. For the first time in years, my phone screen stayed dark. No late-night message. No call. Nothing. I told myself she probably hadn't noticed. Maybe she was too busy enjoying her trip. But as the silence stretched, it became heavier, like a weight sitting on my chest. By morning, something inside me shifted again. I didn't regret disappearing. In fact, I felt strangely steady, like I'd finally taken back control after being powerless for too long. I went through the day as if everything was normal, but inside I was waiting to see what she would do once she realized I was gone. And then it happened. Late in the afternoon, there was a knock at the door. I ignored it at first, but the knocking grew urgent, fast, sharp, desperate. When I finally opened the door, she was standing there. Eyes red. Face pale. Suitcase at her feet. She looked nothing like the confident woman who had walked out a day earlier. She didn't look refreshed from a fun trip. She looked like someone whose world had just collapsed. We stood there in silence for a long, heavy moment. Then she whispered, "Why did you disappear?" I didn't answer right away. I just stared at her, searching her face for something, truth, regret, anything real. And then I finally said what I had been swallowing for years. "Because you left me long before I left you." Her eyes widened. Tears spilled over. She started talking fast, tripping over excuses, insisting the trip wasn't what I thought, begging me to listen, to understand, to believe her. But none of it mattered anymore. The details didn't matter. The trip didn't matter. What mattered was the truth that had finally become impossible to ignore. I trusted her, but she didn't value that trust enough to stay when I needed her the most. She kept begging, her voice shaking, but my heart was already somewhere else. I wasn't angry. I wasn't shouting. I wasn't even heartbroken. I was finally free. For the first time, everything was clear. The deepest betrayal isn't always lies or cheating. Sometimes it's simply walking away when the person you love is asking you to stay. That day changed everything. She stood on my doorstep, crying and pleading, but my decision was already made. I wasn't going to disappear again. I was going to move on without her. As I closed the door, leaving her on the other side, a truth settled in my chest with painful clarity. Love without respect isn't love at all. Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers.